What's up,
champs?
Oh, do you want to do it?
I thought we just did it together.
Oh, okay.
What's up, champs?
What's up, champs? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Short Shifts Fantasy Hockey Podcast presented by Keeping Karlsson, where we take a bite-sized look at the NHL action just from the last couple of days. Of course, Derek and Shams totally nailed it on Tuesday. Great job by Shams. I believe his first hosting duty, and Derek stepping in and doing an awesome job. That was a really great show. Today, I guess a special treat, or I don't know, maybe a downgrade. But for, I think, the first time ever, Elan and Brian are going to be taking a shot at a short shift. So I've just introduced myself. Brian, how's it going? Welcome to Short Shifts.
Hi. It's Thursday, not Sunday, but I'm so happy to be here with you and all the champs listening to Short Shifts. Yeah, we have some big skates, shoes, microphones to fill, but we're going to fill them with all the hockey knowledge we've got.
Yeah, I think we'll do what we can. I think the challenge is to keep this under a half hour. And people have already been making fun of me on the Discord, saying they don't think I have it in me. So let's just dive right into it, Brian. Obviously, this isn't going to help because I've already added an item to the list based on some game action tonight. But I'm seeing that the Blue Jackets are destroying the Leafs 5-2 now. There's like 15 minutes left in the game. Ilya Samsonov being totally pummeled, 5 goals against on 29 shots and counting, of course. Of course, this is not great news for the Leafs because it's not like they can be like, all right, let's go back to Woll, because Woll's injured. He's like week to week. He's going to be out a while. Next in line, Martin Jones. So if you have Samsonov right now, I guess you have to decide, am I holding him? Because no matter what, he's still going to get the bulk of the starts, because what are the Leafs going to do? Play Martin Jones? But on the other hand, will the Leafs play Martin Jones? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And if you have Samsonov right now, like, it's not like you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Because like you've been living without him for long enough, right? When Woll was taking the majority of the starts, you knew that Samsonov was not a volume starter anymore, nor has he been reliable at all this season. And I expect that to last. Like, this is an opportunity for him. I had no more than a 50% confidence that he would really be able to take it and run. I did get to pick him up in a couple leagues. I'm not surprised by what's happened. And, it's just someone that I don't need to be that married to, except the only thing is I don't think Martin Jones is going to do much better. And Elan, I'm an optimist. Like, you said he stopped, what was it, on 30 shots? Now I'm looking at he's given up 5 goals. Yeah, I looked earlier in the night, and he had given up 5 goals on like 19 shots. So like, this is progress, right? This is better. That save percentage is increasing as we speak. So we'll see if he can recover enough. If Martin Jones gets in net, I'm not expecting, any ridiculous change, like difference in his fortunes in the Leafs crease either. They're just going to have to score enough goals to make up for their goaltending or shut it down a little better defensively. We'll see how the team copes. But, in a league where just wins count, it's great to have the Leafs goalie. In a league where anything else counts, yeah, you might get blown up.
Okay, so you're kind of thinking, like, if you have Samsonov, you added him, like, might as well hold, even though you're having a bad night. You still probably have the Leafs volume starter. Let's see if he could bounce back. And like you said, he's bounced back in the last period, I guess, making a few more saves. Next up, we've got an injury in Buffalo. Jeff Skinner has been put on the injured reserve because of an upper body injury he suffered in that game yesterday against Colorado. Not great for him, of course. Now you just, the typical thing, an injury. We got to speculate. Does anyone benefit? Is anyone hurt? The lines in the last game were pretty wild. They had Zach Benson on the top line with Thompson and Tuck. The game didn't go well, so who knows if things will be different. Skinner was playing with Middlestat and Peterka. I guess someone now is going to take Skinner's spot on the top power play. So in that game against Colorado, they were rolling Skinner, Tuck, Thompson, Middlestat, and Dahlin. Maybe Peterka gets back on the top power play. So that's going to be my pick. Peterka benefits from the Skinner injury, but obviously you have to check game day tweets to see if he actually gets on the top power play.
Yeah, that's one piece to take away. The other piece to take away, well, one, we've seen, we talked on Sunday about Casey Middlestat. Like, what's he doing with Tage Thompson? And the answer is he's not on that line anymore, at least in the short term. Zach Benson, Elan, you said the Sabres didn't have a good game, and they didn't. So, it's reasonable to expect a line shakeup. But Benson put up basically his first fantasy relevant game in a couple weeks, with a goal on 3 shots. So that was promising. He hasn't had 3 shots since December 5th, and he rarely breaks that number. Like, that's almost a high watermark for him, aside from one night against St. Louis where he had a goal and assist on 5 shots. That's been really the crown jewel of Zach Benson's season. So I've sort of been, every time I see him in a place where I could stream him, like Buffalo had a decent schedule this week, he had good deployment, I resisted the stream. Obviously, I'm kicking myself a little bit for that now. And I wonder if he does stay in good deployment, if he can put something together. But also, that's a big old wonder. It's not something that I see as being imminent, but it's nice to see at least, he's 18 years old, right? So, and he's a young, he only turns 19 next May. So it's nice to see him at least take a little bit of advantage of some nice deployment for one game.
Yeah, so we'll have to see, obviously, what happens with Buffalo. If Benson sticks on the top line, I guess that'll be good. Overall for the team, obviously not great to lose Jeff Skinner. Hopefully he's back somewhat soon. This should be a quick one, Brian. In Tampa, Victor Hedman's hurt. So what, Sergachev will just get the top power play? Sergachev's already rostered in all leagues. I don't think there's much to say here.
No, there's not. That's it. Sergachev, great news for anyone who did draft him. Because if you did draft him, he seemed to be going around the same time as Hedman when people were hedging their bets preseason. He's on a 49-point pace, which is better than where he's been any other season before last, when he ended up getting substantial power play time. But also, that's not really... Yeah, you're probably not getting, depending on where you drafted him, you're not getting all the value that you hoped for. So at least... maybe for at least a couple games, you'll see more from Sergachev with Hedman out.
Yeah, and then hopefully Hedman's not out long. He's having an incredible season. This is short shift, so got to keep moving. We're going to Seattle now, Brian. So Philip Grubauer is week to week, and Joey Daccord had a really big game shutting out the Florida Panthers. Seattle's going to be playing again later tonight, but Daccord, who hasn't been having an amazing season overall, has now put up 2 straight really good starts. He also only let in 2 goals in a loss to Seattle. It was like 3-0, so Seattle didn't give him any run support, but then Seattle did get 4 goals versus the Panthers. We'll see how things go tonight for Joey Daccord. In the meantime, with Grubauer out, Chris Driedger has been called up. There was a time where Chris Driedger was considered like a really up-and-coming NHL goalie after a good year as the backup in Florida. Seattle gave him a big contract, but then they saw Grubauer available, and all of a sudden Driedger became a backup. Then last year he was injured all year, and then Joey Daccord had a good year, and now this year it's been Daccord as the backup, and now Driedger's there. So do you think this is the kind of thing where you jump on Daccord because he's taking all the volume because Driedger's only there because they don't have anybody else? Or do you think maybe it's like a 50-50 and you don't necessarily need to jump on Daccord even though he had that big shutout?
Yeah, I'll stay with where I was on the Sunday show, which is that, Daccord's the incumbent, so he's going to have some advantage here in getting at least first crack at showing that he can be the starter. But Driedger has a pretty decent chance at getting a shot and a pretty decent chance of making the most of it. And I say he has a pretty decent chance at getting a shot because we haven't seen Daccord string together more than a few games of consistently good play, really in his career. So this could be the start of something, or this could not. And I would assume until we've seen it that it's not going to happen, but Daccord is worth a speculative ad just in case this is the time. And then I would keep an eye on Driedger too in leagues where you're really desperate to get goalie starts. He's having a great season, another great season down in Coachella Valley of the AHL, .916 save percentage in 15 games in the minors. So I would say that he has probably earned himself a start or 2 in the NHL for as long as Grubauer is out.
Yeah, I think Daccord is going tonight. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see Driedger get the Saturday game. I had the Carter Hart late illness day-to-day today. Had to decide on a goalie to add. I was looking straight at Daccord, but then I thought, I'll just grab Ersson since, then I'll get Ersson's guaranteed game today, and then I'll get a Philly game on Saturday. I'm guaranteed 2 games this week versus, a risky Daccord. If I was more confident in Daccord, I would have taken him if I thought he was going to get both games. So we'll have to wait and see, obviously. More goalie talk, Brian. I want to go to Colorado. I wonder if there's been a bit of a change, at least short term. Georgiev has been really bad. Well, actually he hasn't, but he had a really bad game against Calgary. He led in 5 goals, only made 22 saves. The previous game, he was also sub 900 save percentage. In the meantime, this guy, Ivan Prosvetov, Prosvetov, who they acquired like right before the season from Arizona. At one point, I think Prosvetov was like a prospect that people were considering to be like a good like Arizona's next like up and coming goalie or whatever. Anyways, now he's the Colorado backup, and he's put up 2 gems. Like, so he relieved Georgiev in that game against Calgary where Georgiev did so badly, and then he didn't let in any goals the rest of the game. And then yesterday versus Buffalo, we were just talking about the Buffalo side of things. Prosvetov was great. He stopped 29 of 30 for the win. And now Colorado has a back-to-back coming up this weekend on Saturday, Sunday. So you're guaranteed to get another Prosvetov start. So my first advice would be, if you need a goalie start this weekend, just grab Prosvetov. Doesn't even matter what Brian says about what's going to happen long term. But also, I wonder, with Prosvetov having this couple good games, I see he's the game log for Prosvetov so far this season is sparse, but pretty good looking, to be honest. So at least recently. What do you think? Do you think Prosvetov is someone that could start challenging Georgiev for starts, or do you think Georgiev's still like surely the volume starter over in Colorado?
Well, nothing's for sure with the way Georgiev has played. I mean, I will give him some credit. Over the last little while, his game has stabilized a little, but that also speaks to just how rough Georgiev's first month and a half of the season was, where he started the season really well with 4 starts that were .944 or above, and then he had a run of 11 starts where Georgiev had a save percentage below 900 in 10 of those 11 starts. So we've seen Georgiev start to course correct a little bit over the last couple weeks, which is good. He had a 927 over 6 games before losing to Winnipeg and before getting pulled against Calgary. So I know I'm kind of cherry picking there to paint a bit of a narrative that Georgiev had found his game for a little bit. But yeah, the door is open for Prosvetov, who's a 919 so far this year in NHL action, which is actually better than any AHL numbers he's posted since turning pro back in 2019-20. Prosvetov is a 4th round pick of the Coyotes back from 2018. And 2 starts, I think Elan, it's probably just more a matter of circumstance that Prosvetov is getting these starts. Georgiev started 3 in a row. I guess Georgiev could have started on Wednesday night, right? There's no real reason why he didn't, except if Colorado wants to see a little bit more from Prosvetov, and then the back-to-back was going to be a split. So let's see how the goalies do at the split. And yeah, if Georgiev has a bad game and Prosvetov has a good one, then I could see Prosvetov getting the next start out of that split.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, don't even worry about it for now. If you need a goalie this weekend, grab Prosvetov for the spot start on the back-to-back. And then I guess, like Brian said, kind of figure it out from there based on how that split goes. While we're on Colorado, Brian, I know this is short shifts and not keeping Karlsson, but I still got to bring out Keeping Karlsson Classic here. Who the heck is Sam Malinski? I have never heard of this person. I'm in Dynasty Leagues now. I've heard of more players. I still have no idea who this guy is, but he had a goal and an assist in this game against Buffalo. He's a defenseman. He also had an assist in the previous game. He actually has 4 points in his last 4 games. And I don't know, is there anything here? Is this a person that we need to start paying attention to?
Sam Malinski is a 25-year-old undrafted defenseman from Lakeville, Minnesota. And his parents' names... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to read his Wikipedia entry to anyone. I don't even know if he has one, honestly. Should we be interested in adding him? No. He's a bottom pairing. Sure, he played 16 and a half minutes when he got the goal and assist against Buffalo with 2 shots plus 3 and a block. So that's decent. But the games before that, Malinski is playing 10 to 12 minutes. I'm even looking he doesn't have... He finished university, all right? Good for him. But it means he has a pretty short pro record. In the 8... And his pro record is longer than yours. He's got 14 points in 24 career AHL games with the Colorado Eagles after coming out of Cornell. This is a trajectory that doesn't usually lead to sustained NHL success. But I guess if you're in a deep enough league, Elan, is he available in your dynasty format?
I saw he was taken. I was really annoyed. That's usually the type of guy I grab, like a nobody that's getting points randomly. I just take a shot and hope it's going to be something. But I'm getting sniped. But anyways, good for him. We'll see if we ever mention him again on the podcast. By the way, on Colorado, I didn't even notice that Mikko Rantanen went on a bit of a cold streak. Doesn't matter anyways. He's now got 6 points in his last 2 games, 2 straight 1 goal, 2 assist games. So I'm glad I didn't even waste anyone's time by bringing that up. Brian, let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to see how much more news we can get through. I still got a lot here on this list, but I think a manageable amount. So this is a blast. Talk to y'all soon. Okay, we are back, Brian. We're done with injuries and goalie talk, I guess. Let's go to just some classic hot and cold streaks. And I want to go to Winnipeg right now because, we talked about Kyle Connor being injured. Or maybe we didn't. I don't know. I think we did on the show. We found out as we were recording.
It was breaking.
Super hot. Yeah, it was breaking news. Obviously, Derek and Shams broke it all down yesterday, but then there was a game for Winnipeg on Wednesday, and holy cow, this new top line of Scheifele, Ehlers, and Vilardi just went off. Scheifele had himself 2 goals and an assist. Vilardi had himself, 4, a goal and 3 assists. And my boy, my newly acquired Nikolaj Ehlers, had himself a night, 2 goals and 2 assists, 5 shots. Mwah. And it was all even strength, I think. It was just a decimation of the LA Kings. That line defeated the LA Kings. It was wild. I know that before that game, a bunch of people were talking on our Discord about potentially dropping Vilardi. I think we brought Vilardi up on the podcast, and you said that maybe people could let him go. Now that he is clearly a beneficiary of this Kyle Connor injury because he's getting on this top line that just had this incredible game, I feel like you got to just jump back on Vilardi, right? So that's your deep league take. And then for your shallower league take, where Nikolaj Ehlers maybe has been dropped because he's been disappointing, Ehlers is now on the top power play and that line with Vilardi and, a higher, I don't know, pedigree. You don't say pedigree for someone this late in their career, but, just a higher upside guy. I feel like even in shallow leagues, you got to be looking at Nikolaj Ehlers, right?
Definitely. I dropped Ehlers in a sort of shallow league. I needed to make a move to bring, I think, someone off IR, and I regret it deeply. He was snapped up even before. I think the second Connor was injured, someone else grabbed him, and I just wish I hung on a little longer, especially because now I have new injuries on that roster. So I would definitely want Ehlers if he's been dropped. For Vilardi on the last episode, we did say you could forget about it because there's he's on the top power play, but there's not a whole lot else that's going for him, and even that's not a guarantee that he'll pull something off there. So if Vilardi did get dropped and sort of the lack of enthusiasm over his recent production, which was valid, now you couldn't consider re-adding him. That's a notice-taking game, right? So we'll see what happens in LA. This still isn't in Winnipeg. It's still not a guarantee that based on that game versus LA, all of this will hold and that they'll all be able to continue doing what they're doing. But hey, Ehlers is looking, Ehlers has been looking pretty decent for not as awful as he had been, right? He had a 4-game point streak that was snapped against San Jose of all teams before putting up the 4-point night against LA. So I'll put all that together. Elan, good for you. The rest of the season is going to be you talking about Nick Ehlers. I can already feel it.
Well, and Hyman. But yeah, I definitely think that Vilardi is a rush to grab, especially in a league like a cupful, a deeper league. That top line, yeah, obviously there's no guarantee it'll stick together forever. I'm pretty sure it's going to stick together for another game or two after what they just did to the Kings. On the flip side, I guess the new Vilardi now is Cole Perfetti, who's not on a very good line at even strength because there's kind of nobody left. And yeah, he's on the top power play, but pointless in 5. I'm seeing Perfetti dropped in a bunch of cupful leagues. I know we talked about him earlier in the season. We were like, this breakout might be for real. I think he's establishing himself. And I think in the big picture, he's for real. But now in the short term with Kyle Connor injured, now Perfetti, because Perfetti was playing with Ehlers, right? Which wasn't the best thing, but it was something. Now Perfetti's playing with Nemesnikov. It's just not the same. So I think whatever you said about Vilardi on the last show, I think you could apply that to Perfetti now and then add Vilardi. That's is my takeaway.
Nice one, Elan. That's the kind of insight that's harder to find than a puck in a snowbank.
Okay. What was it? Oh yeah, you said you were going to do something weird. What was it again?
That's not it. That was a Chat GPT comment that somebody one of our our top patrons, John Newhold, generated for me to use tonight.
And he challenged you to say that. Okay,
I thought I might sneak it by you.
Well, okay, but since you mentioned the players I'm going to be talking about all season long, of course, we spent like a long time, and I think it was fun, on the last show talking about Alex Ovechkin. Just for fun, I woke up at 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning to jump on Dylan Strome, who was a free agent in my Caufield division, because I knew Washington didn't have a game like all week until Thursday. I didn't want to wait till Thursday morning. I thought it was going to be too late. So I did Wednesday morning for the Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Dylan Strome having a big game today right now for the Capitals against Philly. I'm seeing that it's currently 3-2, and Dylan Strome has a cool 1 goal and 1 assist. Meanwhile, Alex Ovechkin, no points. I don't know. It would be pretty baller if I traded Ovechkin for a big return and then added Dylan Strome for free, and then Dylan Strome ends up better than Ovechkin. I know this is like me like really going crazy, but all that to say, Dylan Strome is on a hot streak, right? This isn't the first big game he's had recently. Still 2 more games this week on the Saturday, Sunday. I think if you're listening to this, like short term, you grab Strome for the Saturday, Sunday, but I think he might be a hold for a while. Like he's looking really good lately. He's looking like the most... I don't want to say, but he's looking like the most like dangerous like weapon the Capitals have recently. Sorry.
I mean, like I know how great you feel about this, and I'm so glad. You deserve to feel as great as you feel about having Dylan Strome and then trading Ovechkin, and then that like with Strome outperforming Ovechkin. Strome is he's doing something weird that he's never really done before, which is shoot the puck.
I was joking on our group chat saying, maybe he's starting to shoot because he's starting to realize that passing to his left winger isn't the most effective strategy anymore.
Like, there were like his last couple years in Chicago, his like goal and assist totals were kind of close, but outside of that, like any real productive season for Dylan Strome has been like assist heavy and light on shots. And right now, Strome has 12 goals and 4 assists. He's on a 50-point pace. He's shooting 21%. But honestly, he's taken 16 shots over the last 4 games. I'm not sure that Dylan Strome has ever averaged 4 shots per game over any stretch of 3 games or more. So yeah, sure, he's scored on 4 of those shots, but 2 of them were on the power play. So we grant a little extra shooting conversion because of that. And man, if he can keep taking 3 or more shots a night, that's real interesting to me. So Elan, I'm not sure I'm going to get down with him being a great, like the better hold over Ovechkin for the rest of the season. Which
I'm
is
not
like
saying that either, by the way.
You're subtly implying it.
Like that's tongue in cheek, but I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, but absolutely, you should, like if he's a free agent in any league that's a couple deep or even a little shallower, Dylan Strome is someone worth rostering. Like I would rather go grab him than Vilardi right now.
If someone wants to give me like 5-1 odds, I'll bet you $10 that Strome gets more a couple points than
Elan. I want you to put yourself back where you were with Ovechkin, and would you have traded Ovechkin for Strome? Straight up.
No. Okay. I was saying I want odds. I'm saying just for fun, I'll put down $10 to win 50 if someone wants to get a free $10. I'm saying that's a bet that I think I'm willing to make just for the fun of it. But I don't need to because I'm having the fun of it by playing fantasy hockey. That's why that's the nice thing about fantasy hockey. You don't need to waste your money to get that rush. We get it for free. Anyway, while we're on Washington, Brian, I wanted to bring up Anthony Mantha, who I have a memory. You probably don't remember this, but I remember at one point we were talking about Washington early in the season, and you said, like, what about Mantha? Like, do you think? And I was like laughing at you. I remember thinking, like, is he even in the NHL still? Like, I remember just really being so dismissive. So obviously, I have to bring up now that this Anthony Mantha has a hot streak. He just got an assist today. That's his 4th game in a row getting a point. Is Anthony Mantha better than Alex Ovechkin? No, I'm just kidding. But is Anthony Mantha someone that people should be looking at?
No, I don't think so. Like, he's still not getting great deployment. His ice time is still like bottom 6, and he still barely shoots. Like, yeah, he had an assist against Philly, but he had a hit and a block and nothing else, not including shots. So, like in a deep enough league, if you're looking for a Saturday, Sunday stream, I guess you could, but like, I'm not sure I would. So yeah, once upon a time, Anthony Mantha was supposed to be good, but I think he's past that moment, and I'm not sure it's coming back.
That's fair. By the way, the Leafs have just scored again. Now it's 5-3. Samsonov still hasn't let in a goal since we started the show.
Samsonov's going to get a win tonight. I can feel it.
It is against Columbus, so definitely could happen. Oh, Merzlikins, I didn't even mention, Merzlikins is back from his illness, and he was looking really good. He's still looking good. He's had 42 shots against and stopped 39. Again, it's like with 3 minutes left to go in the game. So I guess you can take Merzlikins off of your IR, though. Let's see how the rest of this game plays out. Okay, Brian, next up. Oh, yeah, the St. Louis Blues fired their coach. That's pretty wild. I guess we called it. I remember we had a PatronCast question at some point about who's going to fire their coach. I think they were like our top pick.
We said, well, I think I went with Minnesota first. I said right. Minnesota and St. Louis. I mean, it wasn't like brilliant. Like I think it was pretty out there and available for the taking. But yeah, feels. I feel bad for him, but I feel good for me.
I mean, he'll be fine. But okay,
and like the whole team hated him, right? Like he pissed off everyone. Especially Jordan Kyrou, right? So I think if you've been someone suffering with Jordan Kyrou this season, maybe there's a chance that he gets a little bump from this.
Let's look into it.
Yeah, or he doesn't. Like the new coach comes in and is like, hey, you were a problem for the last guy. I'm not going to let you out of my sight. So we'll see. We'll see how Lyon. But obviously, this means there could be a shift in St. Louis. So whatever you've been seeing from any of your St. Louis Blues, it's time to just watch a little more closely over the next week to see what changes.
Yeah, well, I'm going to watch right now for us because the Blues are playing right now. They're currently beating your Ottawa Senators 3-1 late in the second. So, maybe they are responding to new coach Bannister. But yeah, obviously we got to jump and take a look at what are the new lines that Bannister is rolling out. Kyrou, Thomas, and Buchnevich. So,
wow.
Who would have thought?
So new. I mean, if I were a new coach going into St. Louis, I would do the same thing. I would take my 3 best guys and say, go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good starting point, right? So obviously this is bad news for Jake Neighbors if this holds because he was like rolling on the top line and the top power play, and now he has lost that. I'm seeing here the power plays for, I could get the current power plays for the game today, and I'm seeing that the guys with the most PPTOI for St. Louis, Buchnevich, Shen, Sundqvist, Rob Thomas. What are they doing? Rob Thomas and Torrey Krug. Oh, so Kyrou's still top, not on the top power play, and neither is Jake Neighbors because Oscar Sundqvist has been there. There's no way that lasts. I don't know. Let's wait and see what goes on with St. Louis. But I think you probably can drop Jake Neighbors unless it's like a super deep league or whatever. I think that he was fun while he's on the top line and top power play. Maybe he gets back there at some point, but the Blues are winning today, so no reason to expect a big change. So I think that the time has run out on your enjoyment of that really fun free agent ad that you made a couple weeks ago. And with that, Brian, we have a couple minutes left. Where can I go? Okay, how about this? We talked about Erik Karlsson on the last show. I gotta, where credit's due. Like he's one of the people I traded away, but I can still talk about what he succeeds. He still is the namesake of our show. He had 2 assists, a power play assist, Brian, in that game yesterday versus Montreal. Pittsburgh, we talked about how they hadn't scored a power play goal in forever. They just needed us to, light a fire under them by, mentioning it. And it went well. Of course, that game was against Montreal. I don't want to be all like, okay, Erik Karlsson is back because he got a couple power play assists against the Habs. Let's see how Pittsburgh does against some more challenging competition. But nice to see that power play get going.
Yeah, it's about freaking time, right? For anybody who's been waiting on it, the Pens are now they now have 4 power play goals in their last 8 opportunities. I have to go back to, I'm going to count here, their previous 17 games. They had 3 power play goals total, so they've eclipsed in 2 games what they did in their previous 17. And the nerve-wracking part for me is. They were 4 for 11 over a pair of games, and then they went on this stretch where they were like 1 for 35 or something. So let's hope that they keep it up this time. But yeah, it could be Erik Karlsson season again, along with Jake Guentzel and Crosby and Malkin. And maybe we'll see what happens with the 4 if Raquel ends up back there too, as you kind of predicted.
Yeah, well, I said it's possible. Yeah, for sure. It could be. Raquel, I think, is eligible to come back on Saturday. There was some news saying, like, it's not a sure thing. Like, the coaches didn't say he's for sure back on Saturday. He's been skating. Okay, last thing I'll bring up, Brian. Ville Husso, second start in the row today, which is the first time in a while. Right now, Detroit is losing 2-1 to Carolina. Husso, what am I seeing here? Stop 28-30, looking good. So, if you're like holding Alex Lyon, expecting that he's like been running away with the job, obviously, and I think I even predicted that I don't think we ever predicted that. I was kind of saying drop Husso. Who knows what's going to happen? Like with these goalie things, it's always kind of like very like game by game, everything changes. I think at this point, stock up for Husso, stock down for Alex Lyon. I'd probably drop Lyon if I'm holding him. And if Husso's in free agency, if he gets the next start, like if this game continues to be okay, gets the next start, maybe he's back to being the starter and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't really get like the Red Wings goalie scheduling at all. Like it doesn't, like Husso had an 892 against St. Louis and he starts the next game against Carolina. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So far it's working out for him though, but it doesn't mean I can extrapolate anything from that about what the next start will be. So I think if Husso was dropped, maybe the Wings are going to give him time, and if you're desperate, you can add him. If you're holding on to Alex Lyon, hoping that he gets a legit shot at a number one job, it does not look like that's going to happen.
Yeah, okay. And Brian, that's it. I still had a bunch of cold streaks, but I think I'm just going to save them for the Sunday show. So a little preview for people. Cole Caufield is cold. I'll just
not worried.
Drop Cole Caufield. Okay, we'll do it quick. Schmaltz is cold.
A little. He's not shooting. I wish he would shoot more, but everything else seems okay.
All right.
Also, do you know it's been 8 games since he's had an assist?
Wow, it's rare. That's his thing.
That's his thing. He had 36 of them in 63 games last year.
Frank Vatrano cold. We'll bring this all up on Sunday. We'll actually dive in a little more. But Vatrano was so hot for so long. Finally, it's starting to cool off on Anaheim.
Yeah, but the ice time's still there, and so are the shots. So I don't know that I would go dumping him just yet. And the hits and the blocks. So the peripherals are still nice for Vatrano while you wait on him to start getting points. Again, the problem is that the lines, right? That like he's with he was with Ryan Strome and Brett Leeson last game. That doesn't seem like a great spot to produce, which hasn't historically necessarily stopped Vatrano. Maybe that's why he gets to take so many shots. He's still on one of the what looks like a top power play unit with no. By the way, they ran 5 forwards, the Ducks, for over a minute last game. Yeah.
Well, don't forget also Zegras and Drysdale might be back really soon.
Yeah, that changes things too.
Yeah, we'll see what the lines shake out to be. We'll talk about that on the Sunday show. Also, Hockey Balboa, a new patron with an awesome name, wanted us to talk about Montour. We talk about him every week. Brian keeps on saying to wait. We'll talk about it on Sunday for sure. We'll do our. We got to make a final call on whether people. Yeah.
If you let me just ask you quickly, if you had Montour, would you still be notoriously impatient? Would you hold him?
Okay, here's how I usually make these decisions when I have a slumping player. Like, has he lost the top power play? Okay, the answer is no. Is he taking shots? The answer is yes. So I definitely would be holding on. I'd be holding Montour as long as he's on the Florida top power play, like all season with no points. I think, I maybe might trade him. I might get impatient and trade him at some point if I could get a decent return. But if he really is doing terribly, he'll get bumped. And also his time on ice, right? He's playing 23 minutes. That's the other thing I would look at. Like if he was maybe being like a Tony DeAngelo, like an 8-minute game, even though he was on top power play, that might also be a reason to drop. But he's getting like a lot of ice time. So got to imagine everything will work out at some point.
Elan, your analysis is like a power play goal, strong, impactful, and leaving the opposition scrambling.
All right. That was amazing. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Short Shifts. Brian, this was a blast. I guess we've given people a taste of what's coming on Sunday. So nice chatting with you during the week. And let's get back together on Sunday. I guess in the meantime, I'll also drop a matchup maximizer Saturday night. So you're going to be hearing a lot of my voice. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. Otherwise, maybe you shouldn't be subscribed to this podcast feed. But until I talk to you next time, play smart. Keep your shifts short.